Be warned, these stories feature mature themes such as horror, murder, death and the occult. Viewer discretion is advised. Advised.
Are you scared of the dark? Hey there, Night Watchers. We are most vulnerable when we sleep. Our weary bodies welcome release while the strange darkness envelops us. Until we awake, who knows what god-awful things lurk nearby, crawl over our skin, or watch us sleep. It's a blessing at all if we are able to sleep with these dark thoughts. Well, tonight I have 3 creepy true bedtime stories for you. I hope you've got a nightlight. Number 1. Watched by a Gargoyle. When I was 6 years old, spring of 1990, my brother Aaron, my mother, and I were living in a mobile home on a farm outside of Laurelville, Ohio. The strangest thing happened to me one night that spring. I had a bad dream. I don't remember the dream at all, but it scared me a little, so I walked up the short hallway to my mother's room to try and crawl in bed with her. She told me to go back to my bed, so I walked back toward mine and Aaron's room. After taking just a few steps, I looked up into our room and will never forget what I saw. There on my brother's bedpost was a dark figure that looked like a gargoyle or gremlin. I couldn't make out its lower half. It just had a really square, rigid head, like a gargoyle. It was about 2 feet tall and was hunched over a bit, and it was just staring at Aaron. I stopped dead in my tracks and gasped when I saw it. It turned its head at me as if it heard me. I couldn't see any eyes, just like the outline of its face. I started sobbing and ran into my mother's room, and she walked me back to the hallway, and the thing was gone. She didn't believe me, so I just tried to forget it. I didn't really mention it to anyone after that night. Then, one day, when I was in 10th grade, I was sitting with a classmate named Ryan, and I saw a few large scars on his neck and asked what they were from. He said that when he was about 8 years old, he accidentally ran through a sliding glass door. He claimed the cuts almost killed him from all the blood he had lost. Then he said, "Yeah, the strange thing was the night before the accident. My brother saw a little dark figure sitting on my bed, watching me sleep." He continued to explain what it looked like, and it was like he was reading my mind, because what his brother had saw sounded like the exact same figure that I saw. His mother then had a pastor out to their house to see what he thought it was. The pastor told them that it was some sort of guardian angel. It has a specific name, but I do not remember it. I haven't seen or heard anything weird since, but something tells me that it wasn't a guardian angel. Number 2. Haunted by the Reaper. As I begin to write this, I feel very uneasy. I have told only a few people of these incidents, and I am skeptical of the response I'm going to get. You don't have to believe me. Just listen. These experiences have changed my life, and I would never wish them even on my worst enemy. I logically sometimes think in my head that ghosts aren't real, but these experiences I've had always make me think the exact opposite. How are ghosts not real if I've seen them, or something of the sort? I'm not sure exactly what they were. First and foremost, I'm 17, and haven't had one of these experiences in a long time, thank God. And at the time of the first incident, I was about 7 years old. The funny thing about the experiences is that they all happened in the middle of the night. They were all absolutely terrifying. I have researched and I've found a number of other people who have experienced the same thing. That makes me feel really good, because for the longest time, I thought I was the only one. Alright, here it goes. When I was 7, I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. The night seemed like any other night from what I remember. Nothing seemed unusual. In fact, I wasn't even scared to get up in the dark. When I was finished, I turned off the bathroom light and walked into my room, which is right next to the bathroom. But as I walked into the room, I saw what appeared to be a hooded figure in the corner. And the only reason I saw it amidst the darkness was because there was a faint glow of light coming through the window from the outside. It was probably streetlights or the moonlight. I tricked myself into thinking it was only my window curtain. I walked toward my bed and laid down. While I lay there, I heard something, almost like a chant, coming from the corner where I saw that thing. When I looked up, I saw it. It was a cloaked figure, almost resembling a Christian monk or the Grim Reaper. It came toward me, chanting. Don't ask me what it was saying, because I couldn't understand it, like it was speaking in tongues. At this point, I panicked. I was so scared. I covered up under my blankets the best I could and tried to ignore it, but I left my foot sticking out at the bottom. Now this is the one thing I remember the most clearly. While my foot was sticking out, it said aloud, "I will grab your foot, Todd." Quickly, I yanked my foot under the blanket and started to scream. During this time, I felt as if I was screaming for an eternity, and I had a feeling of doom. Just then my mom burst in the door and flicked on the lights, and as she did, I was looking at the creature. As soon as she turned on the lights, it vanished with the darkness. The second experience happened just as strangely as the first. I can't remember how old I was, but I was staying at my grandma's, and once again, I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. After going, I turned off the light and stared into the living room where I was sleeping. When I did, I saw an old woman in a blue robe. Her back was facing me, and she had her head down. At first, I thought it was my grandma, and I called out to her. Just then, it turned around, and it had these eyes that are beyond description. They glowed and were beyond words. I do remember seeing the color red for some reason, though. I don't know why. After seeing its face, I gasped and flicked on the light and it vanished. I immediately had a feeling of dread. I ran to check on my grandma, and she was in bed asleep. That's not all of it, though. I was watching a movie in the living room another night, and my brother had fallen asleep in my room. I let him sleep in there and finished watching the movie. As I walked toward my room to get him, I was looking down at the floor. Upon entering the room, I looked up and saw the same hooded creature standing right in front of me. And when I turned to my left, I saw about 5 of them standing around my bed where my brother was sleeping. Out of instinct, I ran, but when I entered the dining room, I thought to myself, I have to go back and check on my brother. I turned and went back, and they were gone. I picked up my little brother, and we slept in my mother's room. Number 3. Long-term haunting. My father-in-law passed away just after my second daughter was born. My first was 4 years old. My husband and I had been married 7 years, and like any other couple, had our ups and downs. One night we were sitting, watching TV. It was 6 at night, the news was on, and we had a football on top of the TV this particular night. It was half empty, but suddenly an orange flew out of the bowl and just missed their father's head. We looked at each other in shock and decided to spend the night at his mother's house. That night turned into a couple of weeks. I wanted to get back home, and we had a massive row which ended up with me going home and him staying at his mother's. A couple of days later, I found out he was having an affair with my best friend, and that's when things really started to get weird. My sister came to stay with me for a while, and one Friday night my 4-year-old was staying with her grandma, and we'd gone to bed. The baby was in her cot. We were just dozing off when I heard a patter of feet on the linoleum. I thought it was my 4-year-old going to the bathroom. I closed my eyes and tried to get back to sleep when I realized she was at her grandma's house. The moment I realized this, the bedroom doorknob started rattling so loud. Then there was a thudding against the door. My sister grabbed me, but the only thing I had to hit someone with was my alarm clock, plus the bulb had gone in the bedroom. Can you imagine how petrified we were there in the dark? We searched the whole flat. It was Victorian with attics and a basement. It was absolutely terrifying, but we found nothing. No sign of a break-in. Nothing. The kid's father and I split up, and in time I met someone else. For 3 years, life was good. The bedroom incident tucked away in our minds. But you never forget. One night, I went upstairs to check the girls like I always did. They were sleeping together, fast asleep, bless them. The only thing was, they had a giant 4-foot rocking horse on top of them. Unexplainable things happen at night, and that just happens to be the time when we lay down our heads and rest for a while. We make ourselves the most vulnerable during a time we feel the most danger and terror. I guess we can shrug off the rustling in the trees outside, or the tapping at the glass. Maybe it would be better if we were sleeping through it. Then we wouldn't feel a thing. Good night. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.